Hello, 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 everybody. It is me, Demetra K, and I am sitting here with Donovan, a recovering Democrat Saadiq, also known as the very bald Black Yul Brenner. Not even one speck of hair, not one glimmer of hope on the top of his head, but we love him anyway. I should also say that the purpose of the Demetra K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we're great people, but we can always strive to do better. Like I said, big giant thank you, hello, and welcome to YouTube and Facebook. You are the other side of the conversation. Not only are you viewers, but you are family, and sometimes I share the link. If I share the link and your profile looks like this, please show me this. And if you're not comfortable, you could go back to that, especially if I've never seen you on here before. I absolutely must see your beautiful face. And then you can blank it out. If you're not comfortable, just know that not even Donovan can see you until I bring you up to the big screen. Also, in the comment section, is not that we disagree. No. It is how we disagree. So let's be as respectful as possible. The same thing for us on the panel. Today, we're going to be talking about Jasmine Crockett and the Black Caucus finally speaking truth to power for the Black community. Now, of course, I'm going to tell y'all right off the bat, it is clickbait. I wanted to get you on in here because y'all know doggone well that they did not speak truth to no power, especially in regards to Black people. But I'm going to show you a video of Miss Jasmine Crockett. I should say Representative Jasmine Crockett, somewhere in Washington yesterday or earlier today. She was speaking about, well, Black people, but then y'all know the story. Now, I will tell you that I sped it up just a little bit, but I believe that you can understand it, as it was almost 6 minutes long. We ain't got that much kind of time really to be giving Jasmine Crockett. So we're going to get into that. Of course, I'm going to read a tweet that she put along with it as well. So let's see who's on here before I give it to Donovan. We got Gary Mack. Welcome back. Sister Sonia, how you doing? Ernest, what's going on with you? I got it. Brother Dom, our triple OG moderator, and thank you to all the moderators for all the wonderful things that you do. I love and appreciate you. Delano, how you doing? Jupiter, where you been, my friend? Lance, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Yes, it is sarcasm. Sagittarius, Goddess, hope that you're having a great day. Donovan?
Yes, welcome back, you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in with us and having these great conversations. If you want to continue to have these great conversations and motivate the content creator, there's a way you can do it. We've got a scrolling banner at the bottom. It says donate, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, cash, money orders, barter system, however you guys want to do it. It does take time and effort to make these great conversations. And we thank Demetra for bringing these great controversial conversations when we have them. Today's May 6th, 2025. And we are only, 18 days away from the Black Expo in Columbus, Ohio, May 24th. You guys, if you guys haven't got your tickets already, or if you guys are planning on going, you can see the African Diaspora News Channel crew over there, Vicki Dillard, Demetra K, Brother Phil Scott, Marsha Ambrosia from Floetry, Tidra Moses, one of my favorite singers from originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. One of the most complex, Simplicity, one of the most underrated albums of the 2000s. So that was a really great album there. But there's still time to get your tickets and go and hang out and see Demetra in person and ask her those questions and confront her about the knowledge she is putting out on these internet streets. Also, don't forget, you can download the African Diaspora News Channel app on Google Play, Apple Store. Haven't seen it yet. Phil might be doing another special if you guys want to jump on that. Not yet, but when he does do one, I'll definitely announce it when he does do it. But annual subscription is the best way to go. That's what I have. And a lot of stuff is going on in the African diaspora, not just here in America. We have to pay attention. We're not dealing with a macro economy anymore. We're dealing with a global economy. So again, like we found out that the burqa bags ain't real, the tennis shoes ain't real, everything is made in China, so on, so forth. We've got to pay attention. As you guys know what's going on in Africa, they're kicking the Chinese out. The Chinese are, putting inroads over there. So we have to pay attention to what's going on to the entire African diaspora. Notice nobody's talking about what's happening in Haiti. Failed state, Western powers ain't doing anything. They want it to fail and do what they got to do. You got the Kenyan contingents over there. How do I know about all this stuff? The African Diaspora News Channel app. And also you will get videos from that app that you might not see on YouTube. So it's another great way to do it. Again, Google Play, Apple Store, download it. Great gifts, subscribe, become members. Also, I remember she isn't on yet, but your average logical thinker, female Air Force veteran, she has finally got her long-deserved 100% VA disability. Congratulations to her. That has opened up a whole bunch of other benefits for her and her family. So congratulations to her. Demetra, your girl Jasmine Crockett, this is interesting. She is an interesting subject. She is a lawyer. She is not from the streets. She, went to Catholic school like I went to Catholic school. I don't know why she's doing the city girl thing. As we see, the city girl thing is not working out for a lot of these Black city mayors and Congress people and stuff. But yet this woman's still doing it. I mean, she is a very, she's a very educated, skilled woman. Why she wants to identify with the city girls, I do not know, but let's get into this.
S. Edgy, thank you so much for the donation. Love and appreciate you for that right out the gate. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Who else do we have on here? We have Brother Reggie. How you doing? Hope you're doing well in Japan. Jacoby, hope you're doing well. Sister Sunlight, what's going on with you? And I think that's who everybody so far. Okay, so let's get into it for the second time. All right. Now, I was scrolling along on Twitter, and I came up against this. Let me remove that. And it's a Representative Jasmine Crockett, and she says, last night, at the Black Caucus colleagues and I took to the House floor to speak the truth. In just 100 days, this administration has launched a full-blown attack on Black futures, Black prosperity, and Black freedom. We will resist. We will organize. We will keep speaking truth to power until everybody, that's what it says on the bottom, is free. Okay? So I was like, I'll bite. What is she talking about? So let me take her down. Remove her. Now, it is sped up just a little bit, but you can understand what she is saying. Here we go.
Got to clear up a few things. Instead of the president cosplaying as the next pope, he may want to try to cosplay as an actual president of these United States. That means that he may have to do a little bit of research and decide that he wants to understand that he swore an oath. And this oath was to protect and defend the Constitution. That is the oath that he was supposedly taking on January 20th, as well as we may want the president to look into what the Declaration of Independence was about. We may want him to understand that that was a foundational document as relates to self-determination of those who had recently gained their independence from Great Britain. I would hope that he would maybe spend a few of these days in his first 100 days, and it is sad to say that it's his second term, that he doesn't understand that the Declaration of Independence is about this idea that we are entitled to the right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that's all of us that are here. But let's go through some of the things that he did manage to do and some of the havoc that he has managed to wreak. In the first 100 days of Trump administration, we have had to, unfortunately, endure a lot of pain. This administration clearly is not ready to lead. They are only here to tear down. In just 100 days, we've witnessed an administration hell-bent on dismantling the very systems designed to protect the most vulnerable amongst us. And for Black Americans, those of us who have always carried the weight of a broken system and bad policies, the danger is real, it's tangible, and it is urgent. Let me be clear, the last 100 days have not been an accident or a fluke. He has done exactly what he said he was going to do. He gave us the blueprint in Project 2025. Some tried to warn us of the dangers, and well, here we are. Let's talk about education. Within weeks of taking office, the Department of Education quietly rescinded guidance encouraging schools to teach honest, inclusive Black history. Instead, they're attempting to whitewash history and have begun promoting so-called patriotic education, a sanitized version of history that skips over slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, and systemic racism. He signed an executive order reinstating, quote, common sense discipline practices in school, rolling back previous administrations' attempts to address racial disparities in school discipline practices. Make no mistake, these decisions have a direct impact on Black children, children who deserve a fair shot to learn in safe and supportive environments. Let's talk about housing. HUD announced plans to gut fair housing rules meant to fight discrimination. You know, the same ones that he violated back when he was a landlord so many years ago? Yeah, those same rules that were supposed to fight discrimination in lending and zoning. This means there will be even more roadblocks for Black families trying to buy a home and yet another generation locked out of building wealth. Let's talk about public safety. While they're cutting after-school programs and community violence prevention, they are pouring millions of dollars into militarizing police departments. They're criminalizing our communities while stripping away the very resources that keep us safe. And finally, money talks, so let's talk money. This administration slashed funding of 7 government agencies that provide Black communities with educational materials and economic opportunities, including the Minority Business Development Agency, the only federal agency dedicated to uplifting minority businesses. This agency helps entrepreneurs all across the country, including in my own district, keep their doors open and their workers employed. Now, it's under attack. And while all of this is happening, they're dismantling environmental protections and environmental justice, slashing funding for HBCUs, and rolling back civil rights enforcement across federal agencies. Let me repeat what that means. To roll back civil rights enforcement across federal agencies. This is the so-called DEI attacks that we continue to endure in this country. This is their way of trying to roll back the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that so many died and bled for. Mr. Speaker, This is not just about policy disagreement. This is about direct attacks on Black futures, Black prosperity, and Black freedom. This is about right versus wrong, point blank. But here's what they don't understand. We've seen this playbook, and every time they've attempted to silence us, erase us, and hold us down, we've resisted and we've pushed this country closer to the ideals it claims to hold. They are trying to bury us. But what they don't realize is that we are seeds, and still we rise. I stand here, a proud Black woman and a proud member of the Congressional Black Caucus, and I refuse to stand by while this administration tries to turn back the hands of time. We will resist. We will continue speaking truth to power, and we will keep organizing until everybody is free. Because in the words of Fannie Lou Hamer, nobody's free until everybody's free.
Woo! Now I know that was a little bit fast, but I think y'all can understand everything that she was saying. Let me remove her. So just a tiny bit of a reiteration. It was almost 6 minutes long, but I deduced it down to about 3. Okay. Now she talked about his first 100 days. Of course, you know, that was it's always kind of like a monumental thing with the president in his first 100 days, their accomplishments. Of course, we know he created Doge. They got rid of USAID and a whole bunch of other things. They cut down military spending, educational this, and this really, you know, gutted a lot of things. And, you know, what she says, basically that Black American, what she says, you know, Black community, that can mean anybody coming out of her mouth, says, you know, there's going to be a lot of pain. He's basically distributing pain. Says that a lot of systems are being dismantled, and she mentioned education. Talk about, you know, in school they want to get rid. And this is not a new conversation. Get rid of African American studies and bring in patriotic historical studies or something like that, which is funny. Of course, they're gutting fair housing and the rules, and it's going to make it harder for Black families to buy homes and things like that. Talk about public safety, how they're throwing a lot of money basically to police departments. Of course, Doge is getting rid of the minority, I guess, entity that oversees, and I'll keep the emphasis on minority, because remember, she's talking about Black people, but she says minorities, right? This thing that's getting rid of minority business oversight, this, that, and the other. And then, of course, she talked about environmental protections. They're rolling that back. Of course, they're rolling back, getting rid of DEI, which we know has nothing to do with us. It benefits white women the most. She cited the civil rights laws of 1964 by Lyndon B. Johnson. Supposedly was supposed to be giving us all these rights and things as Black people. And then she references a phrase that we hear a lot. Oh, you know, they tried to bury us, but they forgot we were seeds, right? Trump is basically rolling back things and it's harming Black people. That's what she's saying, right? So as I heard her, and of course, as I said, she was not speaking truth to power. She just speaking, right? A symbolism. Even with all that I heard, the one thing that came to my mind is, wow, Jazzy Jazz, what did you and your homies at the Black Caucus do to protect us when y'all were in office? Oh, I'll tell you what you did. You didn't do nothing. When I say nothing, you didn't do nothing to help Black people. But you know what you did do? Jazzy Jazz, you helped everybody else, specifically the migrants. You guys were, and you're still caping for them. Let's keep it real. Y'all still caping for, y'all talk about going to Venezuela to make sure they okay and stuff. But when you guys had the power, y'all were helping the migrants. Y'all were thumbing your noses at Black people. Y'all wasn't even talking about no HR 40, no study, and none of that. When y'all thought Kamala was going to get in office, y'all were going full speed ahead with helping everybody else, moving the migrants into Black communities, telling Black people, no, and merging Black people and the minorities and the people of color thing and everybody else. And the Black Caucus, y'all were on board with helping the Asians get a hate crime bill. Black people didn't get none of that kind of stuff. Y'all were all right then, but now Trump is in office, and he said he was going to do most, if not all, the things, is maybe not to the degree he's doing. Let's keep it a buck. But he said he was going to do these things, and y'all heard him say it, but yet y'all were cool with Kamala doubling down on the men and women sports and all these other nonsensical things, the border, and y'all was cool with her doing all that. But now you know that fat meat is greasy. Now y'all want to bring Black Americans, or I should say Black, the community, minorities is who she really means. Y'all want to bring that conversation back into the fold. For what? What are you talking to us for? We ain't feeling no pain. You know who's feeling the pain? The people that they were championing for. The migrants, the white folks, the Asians, everybody else is starting to feel the pain. Black people, see, sometimes when you feel so much pain, you build up a tolerance, and it's like, it hurts, but I'm kind of used to it. You know what I mean? So now they're trying to reintroduce Black people into this conversation, but it's like, we ain't got nothing for you, man. Yeah, and Jasmine also knows she's up for re-election too next year, along with a lot of her homies. And she knows a lot of Black people have paid attention and are still watching them crash out for the migrants and everybody else, while leaving Black people, at where you left us the first time when Biden and Kamala was in office. So I want to hear what you guys think. Donovan?
Yeah, I couldn't say it better. As I'm listening to her gibberish and all that other great stuff about what Trump is going to do and all the scare tactics, like I said, they have no other playbook. But again, this is what they do. Oh, we just make them afraid. 2025, has anybody seen any slave patrols out there? Has anybody been put into slavery? Has the Constitution been suspended? Because this is what they told us was going to happen if Donald Trump gets into office on day one. We're in day 100 plus. Has your life fundamentally has changed because of what Donald Trump has done in the office? Most of us, no. Have I lost a lot of money? Yes. But that goes with the job. But most Black people have, hey, I watch TikTok. I watch what's going on social media. Negroes are still doing their fish fries. They're still dancing and buck dancing and doing and having fun and doing what they do. Because when you're at the bottom of the economic system, it doesn't matter who's in charge. You're at the bottom. You're at the bottom. How much worse could it get for you? You're at the bottom. So all the stuff that she was acknowledging and saying that Donald Trump has done and whatever hasn't affected Black people in general, because we don't own nothing. We don't have nothing. So these tariffs, how many Black people are affected by the tariffs? The tariffs started about 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? And then he suspended them and he's going to do this and that. How many of you guys have been really affected by it? I haven't been affected by it yet. Not at all. But this is the scare tactic that she used. But everything that she called out, Demetra, not once did she have a plan that says what they're going to do about it. And that is the biggest problem with the Democrats. It's easy to point out what the problem is. Ms. Crockett, what is your solution? To keep continuing to vote for Democrats who have shown us as Black people, you will do nothing for us? We're just going to give you our vote, but what are the Republicans going to do for you? Well, the Republicans don't knock on my door every 2 and 4 years begging for my vote and promising me things, then they don't deliver. Always measure somebody by what is the Democratic plan. She didn't say anything about what they're going to do about it other than sit on their hands. Also, a great president said, government is not the solution. Government is the problem. Why is it that the Democrats want us, and excuse my language, on the breasts of government all the time? Because we've been on government's breast for a very long time, all the help that they're giving us and stuff, and we have regressed as a community. How many of you guys are actually for trans this, gay that, deletions of babies? Most Black people, we're conservative by nature. That's just a fact, right? But she had no plans, and she keeps talking about minority. She didn't address anything specific to Black. She kept talking minorities, and we know what that means when they say that. And for Mrs. Crockett's thing, she pointed out at how Donald Trump is giving the police departments all this military hardware. Is she aware that Barack Obama's administration gave more military equipment to police departments across the nation than any administration? And that's military stuff from Desert Storm and that was left over, right? And then ask yourself this, you guys. When Joe Biden came into office, they had the House and they had the Senate. Have you guys noticed that Bernie Sanders and Paula PayPal Jai is going around introducing universal health care for all? Same playbook. They're going back and doing the same thing to get you excited. Woo, universal health care for everybody. Why would they introduce universal health care for all when they don't control either house? But when they controlled both houses, they didn't even bring it up. Games. Games. Do you see what I'm talking about? When they had control, both houses and the presidency, you didn't see them bring up universal health care. You didn't see them bring up reparations. You didn't see them bring up anything for the American people that would make our lives better. But now that they are in the minority party, universal health care for everybody. You guys, common sense. What are the chances that that bill is going to pass? Even if they proposed it, 0. Even if it got through the House and the Senate, Trump is going to veto it. But M. Florey says it right. It's smoke and mirrors. And this is what they do. This is their playbook because it works. It works because we are not paying attention, and they know black people get emotional. And sisters, I'm not bashing you on this. You guys are the pillar of the black community, right? The matriarchy is very strong in the black community, but you guys are one of the main ones that lead our people astray. Thus, you have a Jasmine Crockett. Thus, you have a Tiffany Henyard. Thus, you have all these women, black girl magic, whatever, and yet you guys aren't delivering anything for our community.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But you know, you got to tap the brothers that's supposed to be leading on the back of the hand too. They
absolutely. No. I mean, men number one. Well, we're number one, but we're just saying the rise of the women leadership is no different. It seems like we're getting the same exact results. Chaos.
Yeah, and that's our fault, you know, because we're not properly vetting these people. And again, we leaving these people in office, you know, 20, 30 years, and they're not showing any results. They're not leading us anywhere. You know what I mean? They're leading themselves into more riches. That's about it. Corey, how you doing? And hello to everybody. I'm going to get into the comment section. I said, right, they had the House and the Senate. They sure did. Under the Biden administration, and hell, even under Obama's administration, had the House and the Senate. But of course, you know, a lot of people say, well, they was obstructing him, Mitch McConnell, and it was like, knock it off, okay? Because Obama got a lot of things done when he wanted to get them done, for who he wanted to get them done for. We just weren't top priority, and he pretty much said that out of his own mouth when he left office. So still, how you doing? Says the only thing I get excited about is it says the direct deposit of our inheritance, Black First. Yeah, that's the reparations that we've been asking for, right? St. Michael, how you doing? Says, why would the black community even care about universal health care when, according to U.S. census, about half of the black community gets free health care, aka Medicaid? Yeah, you know, but there's some too that they still have to pay for it or whatever the case is. But with all the money that they're giving away, and Trump now, he is saying that if you're a legal alien or immigrant, we should say, being politically correct, that if you self-deport, we'll give you $1,000 once you get to where you are. Once you get to where you are, we're going to give you $1,000. And they're saying in Haiti, that could be 3 months rent or whatever. But it's like, wait a minute now. You still giving away American tax dollars to people who shouldn't have been here. Why do they need an incentive to leave? What about giving us an incentive because we here? You know what I mean? I would love $1,000. I don't know, just because. But you're paying people to leave, so it's like, what? How are you much better than the Democrats who are spending money, you know, to keep them here? But you want to spend money for them to leave. Now his justification is, oh well, it's cheaper. You know, if we have to do it, and then if they leave and we give them the money, it's like, no, I don't think so. They don't need no money. They just need to leave, right, and come back the right way. Amy says 0 to none. And Brother Damon, how you doing? Says no tangibles from those Democrat a-holes. Ooh. Dwayne says, why don't they go hard for black prisoners? Because we don't. That's part of the reason is we don't, right? Sister Marcella says, everyone, if you're learning something, thumbs up. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Corey. He says, I don't understand how someone can be a Democrat, big government, socialist government, control everything with benign neglect. Absolutely, on both sides. Catherine says, we're getting our bag and forgetting everyone else. Yep. Prime Time says, they always say minorities. We're done with that. Yeah, see, back in the day, before we were properly educated about that, we all went along with the minority trope. But then when we got more knowledge, shout out to that of Dr. Claude Anderson, we started to say, hey, yeah, we're not minorities, because they lump us all together, right? Charlotte, you say absolutely. And Peppy, how you doing? Alicia, what's going on with you? Hope you're doing well. Carrie says, thank you guys on social media for keeping us informed. We do our best. Sister Sweets, say question. Why are we required to vote for the Democrat Party and they do nothing for us? because we've been required, right? Because that's been that propaganda. If you black, you should be voting for the Democrats. There's no excuses. The party of black people is the Democrats, but the Democrats are not the party for black people, right? Because when you force something, that means you advocate on their behalf. They have not been doing that, but it's just kind of been inculcated into us as black people. Oh, you have to be a Democrat. And if you're not, we're going to ostracize you. We're going to drag you. We're going to talk about you. We're going to disinvite you from Thanksgiving and a whole host of other things. So a lot of black people have to unlearn the brainwashing that we've been under in regards to politics. Corey says, I don't know, Peppy says, why do blacks ask for reparation? Just take it. Well, you might be on to something, but there's other ways we could get to it, right? Corey says, why the hell he giving them criminals money? Well, he says he gonna pay them to leave because it's cheaper. Still says, can I get some money to round them up? Nah, you end up getting in trouble. The elder.
Well, no, actually, the Border Patrol's hiring. So if you want to go out there, they're hiring.
Nah, you know, y'all take y'all black cells out there and try to round somebody up. You might get in trouble, right? They don't mean you, they mean them. The LW experience. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Love it. Appreciate you for that. Ernest, she says, when the Democrat Party had the House and Senate, they put in work for every other group, but they tell, us, they will never get another vote for me. There you go. You know, and Carrie, like you said, where's that $5,000? Where's that $5,000 that Trump said they was going to be sending people? You know, once they found all that money through Doge, right?
Right, and you guys, please don't forget when Biden came into office, everything that that they wanted to do, they did it within the first 60 days. Everything that needed to be signed, he signed it in the first 60 days. So, because we all know after that, he didn't do anything. He was just kind of out of it. So they had a plan of what they wanted. They opened the borders. They gave the Asians their bill. They gave the LGBTQ their money. They gave everybody what they needed in the first 60 days. Because remember, Demetria, people were telling us, well, golly, he just got in office. When he gets done with everybody else, he's going to step up and do for the blacks. We got another president, y'all. 4 years has passed. Nothing was done for black people.
Yeah, you know, and now they're trying to pretend, you know, because the other thing, too, is the Democrats see that they're bleeding more and more black voters. So they got to keep up with this, you know, oh, we going to do something for you. And I was speaking truth to power. It's like nobody's listening, right? Exactly. Sound like, where is our stimmy? Kelly says, yeah, what happened to that $5,000? Y'all know what happened. You know, Trump gaslighting too, right? Diane says we should be more concerned about correct medical treatment. The medical treatment we receive is killing most of us. Yes, medical apartheid. Absolutely. Brandon, how you doing? Says, how are you doing, sisters and brothers? We're doing just great. No complaints. Miss Sweet, she says, if Donald Trump can offer $5,000 to have children, there should be enough money in our government's account to pay reparations. Yeah. So that's the other thing. He wants to pay women $5,000 to have babies. It's like, are you crazy? It costs upwards of $500,000 depending on what child you raising, right? And by the time it's 18 or so to even take care of a child, $5,000, sir, please. Your toupees cost more than that. As Edgy says, those senators and congressmen that are 30 plus years in office are able to everlast because they take their seats with them at home. At the end of each, or you take their seats home with them, rather, at the end of each congressional session. Brandon says you can vote independent.
Okay, can I say something real quick? Do you guys realize the military budget has now gone over $1 trillion? Now, a little history lesson. If you go back to the President Dwight Eisenhower, he warned against the military-industrial complex. And in that speech, what he said was, for every dollar that we spend on our defense, is a dollar that is taken and stolen from the American people to build bridges, roads, housing, infrastructure, and just to help the American people for a military industrial complex. And the reason I say it's $1 trillion and why we should be worried about that, we're not technically at a war. I know we fight a lot of proxy war, but that is money that's not going to help our communities and to make this country a greater country. And when you don't pay attention to that, there's a problem. When you look, name me any other nation on the planet Earth that is spending $1 trillion of their, GDP? I'm having a brain fog right now. Of their GDP, whatever it is, on their defense. No, Japan, we saved them almost a couple $100 billion because we are their defense. Korea, we are their defense. NATO, we are their defense. So they could take that money and spend it on their people. Now, those guys in China, they're talking about the bags and stuff. There was one thing the guy said that was very important when he was talking about the counterfeit bags. He said, while we're being gaslit by excess and the oligarchs and stuff like that, China's taking their money and they're investing in their people. So that's why I bring up the $1 trillion. For every dollar that we give to the Defense Department, that is food taken out of our children and grandchildren's mouth. And we should be alarmed by that. And tonight, I am going to City Council once again, and I'm going to let my voice be heard and let them have it. We have to pay attention, you guys. This is the problem. We're not even at war, so why are we spending $1 trillion? And then when we spend $1 trillion, the stuff doesn't work. Just saying.
Absolutely. And also, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth says that they are going to be chopping some of the top brass in the military to get rid of the bloated budget. He's saying that they have too many of the top brass, the generals and things like that, and they're not really getting anything done. I guess they're saying that they can maybe help solve some things without all of those, the top brass is what they're calling them. My thing is this, Pete, you're the one that was caught on an secure app texting plans about the Houthis and all that other stuff. So for me, I don't know much about the military, but I think it's very concerning that he's saying that they don't need the top brass, which I'd imagine a lot of those generals and people with all the bars on their chests and stuff. To me, it sounds like they know a little bit of something. So it's like, who you going to put in there? Your wife, your brother-in-law, who going to be, at the helm? Because they weren't included in the, the messaging, if you will. So it's like you cutting the money from there, but it's like, I would imagine you could cut the money from other places. So I just thought y'all should know that they're trying to get rid of the top brass to get rid of the bloated military budget. Miss D, how you doing? Hope that you are doing well. Sister Shirley, what is going on with you? Let's see. Who else came on here? They said $5,000 for white women. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Isaac, how you doing? Says crack is whack. Voting Democrat is whack. Both destroyed our community. You ain't lying. Carrie says they go and steal resources from other countries like Africa, but yet American citizens don't see a penny of it. Absolutely. Jesse, how are you today? And who was that? Let's see. Jupiter, that's you that's saying that the dusty, defiant lawyer. He's still talking messy. He'll be all right. Let him do that voodoo that he does so well. He ain't never gonna say nothing to any of us anyway. He make all the videos he wants. Let's see. Destiny's mom, how you doing? Says we could have free healthcare. We could. Miss D says, why does this country care? So you're talking about care about what, if you don't mind me asking? M says exactly. Name the wars we won. Is that what it is? And Demetra. He says, yet they're trying to accuse Ibrahim Traore of mismanaging wealth and saying, yeah, and they doing it over here. It's like, mind your business. Dwayne says, wait, the Democrat Party created the KKK, so why vote Democrat for your downfall? They're not our friends. Yeah, so, I was actually having this conversation with somebody the other day about the Democrats and the KKK and stuff. If you understand the Southern Switch, yes, it was the Democrat Party. But during the Southern Switch, during the Lyndon B. Johnson administration, a lot of the Democrats didn't like the legislation he was trying to pass, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and I think it was the Great Society and all this other stuff. They didn't like it, so they was like, "Well, screw you!" And so they actually left the Democrat Party and joined the Republican Party, making the Republican Party what it is. Because if you remember, our ancestors, including that of Martin Luther King Jr., were Republicans. So they inundated. So the racist Democrats, does that make any sense? So yeah, they infiltrated the Republicans. And so yeah, the Democrat Party did start, the KKK. But at the end of the day, they're all racist, right? They all probably have donned a hood or two in their life on both sides of the aisle. Let's see. Brandon says money is going to fall pretty soon, so they don't mind giving you that money because it's not going to work. I'm gonna tell you something right now. I went to the store, got a whole bunch of water. I have a garage full of water because I don't care what's going on, whether it's a tornado that they say we're supposed to be having, the tariffs or whatever the case is. I'm gonna be prepared. As I said, my daddy being in the nation, I was in the nation. You were always told to store your food and your water, no matter what is going on. And now we're starting to see the precipice of things that's to come. So it's time to store your food and water. And like you said, money, it may or may not be, right? But will you be able to eat or drink? That is the question. Brother Damon says, yeah, America is at war with Yemen thanks to Israel. Yeah, and the Houthis are like, man, we strong, but we mighty. We're not backing down, okay? We said what we said, we did what we did, you know. But yeah, they're one of the only, you know, countries in the Middle East that's challenging Israel. All the other ones are kind of sitting back like, well, you know. So yeah, Ms. D says,
and speaking of water, real quick, I want to tell other people, not just water, honey. Get things that you don't need to refrigerate and stack up on that. Honey and what's another thing that you could, peanut butter, stuff like that. That doesn't take a lot of refrigeration. You have to worry about stuff like that.
Absolutely. So Jupiter says there's too many generals and admirals. As a vet, I could say, yeah, that there probably
well, there's too many paperwork generals and stuff, all that stuff like that, colonels and stuff.
Norma says removing the tie brass is just opening the door for another Pearl Harbor. Be ready, family. Yeah, and that's what a lot of experts are saying is like, you sure you want to do that? You know, okay. Brother Damien says Chater Nkrumah. And Corey says that's why Trump is hitting China with them tariffs. China export everything, and we are the number one consumer. They will fold. They tax us to sell anything in China. Who's gonna fold? It won't. The United States. I mean, I'm not a betting woman, but I'd imagine the United States is gonna fold before China. China, I think, only depends on about 12% from us. Other way around is like 80%. China, they're able to trade with other countries in Asia, outside of Asia, and everywhere else. So they're just building a stronger network. Plus, they're growing more roots in Africa. We talk about this all the time. They're like, hey, we understand that the United States, they got rid of USAID, and a lot of you countries were benefiting from that. Let us. We'll write the check. It's not a big deal. However, we want to, you know, give to get type of thing. So
we need your water. We need your bridges. We need your ports. Yeah.
Who's going to buckle first? I don't think it's going to be China. China's like, you know, why y'all mad at us?
Well, I've been kind of watching some of the stuff in China with the factories being closed and the tariffs. It is kind of affecting them a little bit. But then again, you know, United States, we're deadbeats. You know, isn't this strange, you guys? They're starting the student loan collection stuff, right? Oh, y'all gonna give us our money and this is that, right? But China owns our debt, and we're trying to be deadbeats and not pay it by putting the tariffs in. That's one of the reasons the tariff is going, is to hurt the Chinese economy, because we're deadbeats.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to get very interesting, but yeah, a lot of people are going to feel the pain. People are starting to feel the pain. It's, you know, it's going to get interesting. So I was to suggest that you stock up on the things that you need, the staples that you need, because those things are going to go through the roof. And you might even been in the stores lately and starting to see a little bit of that take place. So it's going to be very interesting. Jupiter says, I agree with Pete to get rid of these generals and admirals. As Army vet, I've seen too many of them. Okay. Like I said, don't ask me. I ain't never really served in the military like that. Daryl Stewart, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Ms. D says, I'm talking about the people of this country. Okay, got it. Who pay taxes. Judite, how you doing? Says, really? Do not trust them and vote them out. Dave, he says, what is Jasmine doing when black people lose their, gonna do, basically what you're saying, when they lose their home? Not that she's gonna flip her wig and keep it pushing. Diane, how you doing? Says, pure unadulterated racism has cost America trillions of dollars in all sectors of life. This country is a free fall to hell. And if you know, you know. I'm going to reread this. That's which is why it's on my desk, because we're starting to see all of this unfold. If you know, you know. That's all I'm going to say. Let's see here. Judah says the Congressional BLAC Caucus members should be voted out. Absolutely. And we have an opportunity right next year. Sister Shirley says LBJ was afraid the blacks were going to tear up the country in the 1960s. Yep, you are absolutely right. We got to pretend, right, that we are for them, which we know that was a lie. CJ says, facts, I'm opening up one of my canned sauces as we speak. and plan to can some more sauces. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, and get some, if you're in the meat, get your beef jerky, get your MREs you can get at the store and stuff. I mean, you guys better start to head into those military surplus stores and get those MREs.
It ain't never going to get that bad, okay? I would eat beans and rice every day.
Number 4, the egg omelet. That was the most terrible one. We had pallets. We were finding pallets of that back. We tried to send it to Africa. Even the Africans sent it back to us.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I eat beans and rice every day. I have some different flavor type, beans and rice. No, I'm good on MRE.
And then how many of you guys realize the majority of the CBC, these are first and second generation Americans?
Oh, yeah.
The majority of your CBC, the majority of them are not even FBAs.
Absolutely. Juggernaut. How you doing? Says she's still on the leash of them folks getting permission to talk just a little more realer to attract a B1 to flock to Democrats. I ain't buying it though. CBC had to flip because they know no reparations. Okay. Yeah, Eddie, sardines. I know some people don't like to eat them, but it's what's for dinner when all goes down, right? Buckhorse, she says paperwork generals down. I guess that's what they call them, right? Let's see. Carrie says, I'm overweight, about 45 pounds. I'm good at least for 4 months. Okay. I hear you on that one. Brandon said, what's the point of having free health care? And these people who work in a hospital taking medication, they are having a shortage. Oh, yeah, it's a lot going on. Totally. Ernie says, get you some seeds. Yep, get you some seeds. Facts, not feelings. How you doing? He says, pray and love family. China is the future. In China, they got their stuff together. I think, I don't know why the Trump administration has underestimated China, but China's like, hold my beer.
Yeah, but you guys got to remember, I mean, China's, they've got a lot of people, they keep their people employed, but notice when it comes to they're making an aircraft carrier right now. They're making all this military high stealth stuff. The problem with that is notice that no country is buying it because corruption is kind of part of their culture in cutting corners and how they design things. So a lot of their equipment, just like when we order from China, right? A lot of the stuff from China is cheap, right? It's cheap. We all know it's cheap and it's going to break down. You just go buy another one. It's no big deal. It's the same thing with how they manufacture things. It's in the culture. So I'm not saying that they're not a big deal, but when it comes to actual armament and things that are actually going to hit, right now, there's a video. And I should have got the link. Maybe I'll look at the link a little bit later real quick. But even the buildings in China are crumbling because they use like knockoff stuff. They're going to do it the cheapest way they can do it. And their bridges and stuff are falling. We're not talking about bridges that are 3,000 years ago when China first started. We're talking about bridges that they built 20 years ago because they're cutting corners. So don't be fooled too much by what you think about, China's this great growing thing. They are great and they're growing, but it's a facade.
It may be a facade, but it sounds like they got their stuff together a little bit more than the United States. Trump thought he was going to bring them to their knees with that 145% tariff. And they say, yeah, whatever, man. Maxwell, how you doing? He says, I know some things China, Russia, and everyone else may seem to be winning, but these white folks will take everyone else to hell with them before we can participate. Before we can't participate, they ain't going to take me to hell with them. I tell you that much about how you doing. Kelly says you love sardines. They're not bad. It wouldn't be the first thing I eat. I've had me eating them. Don't hate them, but
Demetria is a potted meat Vienna sausage.
No Vienna sausage for me. Thank you. No, thank you. Judah, he says, I fish well enough to be extremely confident I'll eat well. I know that's right. He says, Walleye, Pennsylvania. Okay. Daryl says 17.9% of blacks live beneath the poverty level under our deceptive Democrat politicians and their political mouthpieces, surrogates. Absolutely. Sunlight says salmon patties and grits. I'm not a fan of salmon patties, but I like grits. Mimi says Jasmine Crockett is a Democrat ratchet rebrand of Kamala. Figured the ratchet talk worked when Kamala did it. Let's get us a real black woman now. Yeah, Jasmine, she came out the gate hot with the ratchetness, and now people like, be quiet. One link salam to you, Speed. Hope you're doing well. And Brother Damon says, never say never, Demetri K on the MREs. The heaters work good. I mean, I might eat one if I had to. Just Brother Don says it's called We're Getting Played. Okay, talking to M. And 48 TCO, how you doing? He says, thanks for keeping us informed. I'm going to go to Dollar Tree and buy about $40 worth of canned goods. Yeah, you know, and buy some dry beans and all that other stuff too. I got a bunch of dry beans. I got canned foods, water most definitely. I think I'm that close to opening up a water store out of my garage. Okay, let's see, Narmer. It says Asian culture is very amateurish. They mostly copy paste. Yeah, they're good at wash, rinsing, and repeating, right? To keep the cycle going. Corey says, right, cheap stuff, and the tariffs are hurting their economy. I don't know. I guess it all remains to be seen. Narmer says, all that math, just copy and paste. Yeah, you know, they should say work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, this is why when the Birkin bag scandal went on, the manufacturers that made them, it's appealing directly to the American people. That's how desperate they are to keep the money flowing. So it says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like the Chinese said, you could get it from us for $50. They just been getting y'all, selling it to y'all for $5,000. You know, it's the same bag. So yeah, they actually said the designer bag brands taking a giant hit. You know, so. Whew.
Yeah, I heard. What's that? Louis Vuitton they lost $9 billion in like a day or two.
When you know, right? And CJ says their population isn't strong. Well, you got to remember too, they had that rule, was it one child or something like that per family for a very long time. So that kind of hurt them as well. Damien says Temu. Yeah, they got Temu, Shein, and all that. Let's see. Facts Not Feeling says, sorry, Donovan, the skyscraper in Donovan is not falling down. Buckler says America has 2 aircraft carriers. Them joints are double behemoths. Okay. Brother Reddy says sardines on toast. Hell yeah. Add a little mustard with mine. You crazy. 48 TCO says anybody got food stamps for sale? Yeah, they gonna be out there selling. My favorite planner, how you doing? Says Chinese make good stuff for themselves. He's either lying or he hasn't seen China in a while. Joanne, how you doing? Says China has this downtime where their people suffer mercilessly, but they took those lessons and turned their difficulty around. It was painful for them to the cutbacks. Baby birth set to one child. See, I should have read your comment. Yep, that's what hurt him most definitely. Somebody says sardines, saltines, and hot sauce. Okay, all right now. My favorite plan says China never dropped bombs on children. Hey, Bakari, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Ernest says the CBC has been instead. Jasmine Crockett is just trying to be the bullhorn for the Democrat Party, but I'm deaf to her sound. Absolutely. Brother Don says, I just watched a video on China's failing military and poor performing equipment before I came on here. Countries that have purchased their jets have grounded them. Problems with a lot of their equipment.
Exactly. And, for me, being a pilot, I read a lot of air and space that have to do with the military. And that is why if you go to other countries, very few countries buy Chinese military equipment because their culture is ingrained with cutting corners. And it's creating a lot of problems in their military industry. I'm not saying that they've got almost 1 billion people, right? I'm not saying, pound for pound, they couldn't man for man, give somebody a problem. But when it comes to their equipment, even their aircraft carriers are having problems right now because they are not familiar with how to design and make an aircraft carrier work. See, those are just the facts.
Yeah, and Bakari says China is collapsing also. It's all collapsing. Everything is collapsing, right? I mean, you got a bunch of madmen running the world. Eventually, things are going to start to fall down, right?
Well, we're not worried about that because AOC, a woman's going to take over. Woo-hoo!
Is she?
City Girl.
Oh. Okay. Lily, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Joanne says, I love some salmon patties, no grits. MREs are very different today. And water comes in pouches and cans. Exercise is a must, and companionship if you're a person that needs personal contact. Absolutely. You got to exercise. I tell my daughter, exercising, for health and to be cute, I guess, but better be able to exercise in case you got to run through some bushes or something, Brother Reggie says Miss Ratchet is not going to do anything but keep yelling on the internet. Her old Bernie and AOC crazy. Yeah, they're on tour, by the way. AOC and Bernie. Beverly says, thank you for the great stock ideas, guys. My boyfriend and I are talking about getting MREs this morning. Yeah, I'd rather just rough it than beans and rice.
Well, see, Dimitri, you're going with the military MREs. They have civilian MREs that are pretty good. And when I was in during, Desert Storm, and they gave you the old Vietnam rations and the can and stuff. They progressed a little bit better than that. So they're not that bad like they used to be.
Take your word for it, Bakari. And let's see here. Rodney, how you doing? Says Armaz is hurting too. Jeffrey, what's going on? She says she needs to be quiet. Talking about Jasmine. Bakari says all that cheap Temu ish is causing cancer. Yeah, that's what they're saying. A lot of that stuff that comes from over there has a lot of forever chemicals and things like that, and the clothing and all that other stuff. Their clothing is going to kill us, and the food over here is going to kill us. Just pretty soon you ain't even going to be able to breathe there. My favorite planet says watch some videos on China, at least 50 different channels, then decide. Ooh, it's a lot. Judite, he says I have tons and tons of rice among other foods. Same here. All right, let me skip down. Dwayne says Asians wash, rinse, and repeat like on line marketing. Laugh out loud. Yeah, they know how to keep it moving, right? They duplicate, whether they plagiarize it or not. Speedy says predatory capitalism will encompass itself because there is a God. Okay. Corey says Jasmine Crockett got her wings from China. Her wigs, rather. Y'all need to leave that lady wigs alone. Her wigs from China. Damn. Buckhorse says I just don't understand who would want to go to war in the Red Sea. The living God destroy their army. Okay. Got you. FBA Justice, how you doing? Says, so what you saying, Donovan? They China ain't got smoke. Is that what you're saying?
No. I mean, man for man, they've got that smoke, man for man. But when it comes to their equipment, it's because if you think about it, common sense, they're the second biggest economy next to ours. We can sell F-16s to Ukraine. We can, give our technology out, and people are going to buy it. I think Australia just was going to buy some subs from us or whatever. But the Chinese, they have a very limited market. I think the only people that really buy from them are the North Koreans and another country somewhere in the Middle East or something like that, because they're desperate. That their equipment is, because it's in their culture, they're going to cut corners and and make I'm not saying, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but their employees are on a come up. So if they can cut off the top and put it in their pocket, they're going to do it. And that's what's wrong with their technology. It just fall apart. Somebody talked about they have a space lab up in space. We did that back in 1979. Do you remember Space Lab, Dimitra? The reason why America doesn't do Space Lab anymore, we went into a recession, and American people did not want to spend money, trillions of dollars, on a space program when we got people hungry and needing jobs right here in the United States. So.
Yes, CJ, you're right. Store some flour and all that, learn how to bake bread. And I mean, if you eat bread, I don't eat bread a lot, but I sure would eat it if, it came down to all of that. When I say we, I mean, my daughter, she, bakes bread and all that other stuff. So you just got to learn how to take it back to the basics. We didn't have all this technology and conveniences even when I was a kid, right? I remember when we got our microwave, our first microwave, it was like, oh, it's magic, right? So that's how old I am, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately. So we got to take it back to basics. What do we know how to do? We're used to the microwaves and, and all that other stuff, and being able to rip open the package and have it already made. A good documentary that I've watched a couple of times called The Century of the Self. The Century of the Self is on YouTube, and it talks about how we got from being able to bake our own cakes and things like that to where we are now. Was a marketing scheme for the corporations to get us to basically give them money to pre-package things that we were already making. You know what I mean? The Century of the Self is a really good documentary to watch. It's a 4-part series. It's long. If you need the action and all that, it's probably not for you, but you should watch it anyway. Let's see here. Oh, did I get to the bottom? I did. Yeah, they wrong for talking about that lady wig like that. Wrong as the day is long.
Wait, that's a wig? I thought it was a helmet.
I ain't going. Joanne says we're gonna be all right. MREs are in packages. They even have kosher MREs, and they are good. You can heat them up, change dramatically. Maybe I'll order one just to see what it's like. And that maybe I could be a better judge of it.
Just whatever you do, drink plenty of water.
Why, to make you constipated?
Well, remember, in some packages it's dehydrated. So if you're drinking, like, whatever you're eating, depending on what you're eating, some of it's dehydrated, some of it's not. But drink plenty of water with it, regardless.
Mm-hmm. My favorite planet. He says Chinese people retired 10 years earlier. Bakari says America's biggest export is weapons. And there you go. My comments just dropped up. Weapons and arms. Okay. For the now says, no, Demetri, the air now has fungal spores to delete us through respiratory complications. You probably ain't lying. I don't be outside all like I used to be when I was in California and Houston. I'd be outside like sparingly if I go to the park or something like that. But yeah, I don't doubt it. Edgy says, don't forget pasta. Yeah, you can always do some good old spaghetti. You might have to do it without the meat. I'm used to eating spaghetti without meat, zhuzh it up with some seasoning or whatever the case is. But yeah, don't forget that. VLB, how you doing? He says, those cheap clothes and toys from China is full of lead. Probably so, right? Buckhorse says, you got laser in space. I've seen it. Okay, Judite says, rail competition ended at high speed. China wins, game over. Daryl says, Russia is helping China build military technology in some areas, not all. Okay. Let me skip down. Third grade gamer. How you doing? CJ says, I'm a baker and I'm working on stuff I know people will feed for. Yep. And that's what I was telling my sister-in-law who was a baker. I said, girl, you better learn how to get out there and mass produce bread because people going to be looking for some bread, when and if it all goes down. And you know how to offer that stuff. So think about things people will need on an everyday basis. Bread, right? Back in the Great Depression, they were in a line for soup and bread. Right? That was a staple. That was, you guys were able to get soup and bread, you were considered blessed, right? So yeah, those things are going to become a staple again. Raj, he says, buy some live straws and filter water. He says they don't cost that much. Yeah. I have a water filter. Actually have the water pills that purify the water as well in case whatever goes down and you need to purify your water. They have water pills you can get from Amazon. Yeah, and the straws are good as well. Bakari says we got to get back to the basics, knowing how to live self-sufficient. Yep, I don't even have a microwave, Diane. I don't have a microwave at all. But you're right, Bakari. We got to get back to that. We've gotten lazy.
Yeah, you don't have a microwave, but you have a personal chef inside your damn house.
My daughter, damn right. Why should I cook? Okay, I've cooked enough. No, she actually is a really good cook. So why not? She likes to do it. She likes to do it more than I do. So yeah, she's a little bit more skilled at it than I would say. But yeah, and the Buckhurst says I grow my own food and harvest. I'm gonna come over to your house. Jay, how you doing? Says that documentary is crazy. Yep, the century of the self. It is crazy, and I learned about it due to having a degree in public relations. I just kind of studied Edward L. Bernays, who is kind of like the focal piece of it. My favorite planet says the billionaires on one side, everyone else on the other. Exactly. Or they're at the top, everybody else on the bottom.
All 1,000 billionaires in the world against 9 billion people on the planet. How does that make sense? Because
we but if you believe anything about the Communist Manifesto, that's gonna flip. Hey, Sister Tracy, how you doing? Says, well, dang, I'm super late. Hey, y'all, Jasmine. It said just Jasmine's wig is shameful. Y'all gonna be on that lady head, huh? Judite says, and Acelia is built over there. I'm sorry. Amy says, yep, and add an egg to a box of cake mix makes you feel good about your cooking skills. Box cakes don't need no egg. Yeah, well, actually, that was the campaign. When they were talking to housewives back in the day, they were trying to get them to use the box cake, and they're like, I can never dream of feeding my family such garbage. I just wouldn't feel like a woman or like I'm doing a good job if I do a box cake. But over time, with the propaganda and the campaigning, they said, hey, you're a busy woman. Wouldn't you like to have more time to sit and watch soap operas and have some me time while the children and the husband are at school? All you got to do is crack an egg, add it to the mix, and put it in the oven, and bam, most of the work is done. And she said, well, I never thought about it like that. And hence, here we are. So
that's washing machine. Ladies, you don't have to use the old washboard anymore. You just put this thing in there, bam, bam, bam. Done.
I'm not mad at the washing machine now. Okay. So Brother Reggie says, what are MREs? Is it military ready?
Meals ready to eat.
Something like that. Meals ready to eat, Brother Reggie.
See,
Like they're like
now, here, I want you guys to understand this. This is a woman here who is demanding her military benefits, and she doesn't even know the acronyms.
I mean, I wasn't there that long. Hey guys, how you doing? And I wasn't there long enough to eat nothing.
Long enough to have that baby.
Nah, wasn't doing that on no damn basis. Okay, I'm a respectable woman. Okay. Yes, my baby daddy's in the military, but I did not go there to do that. Okay. It was, hi guys, where is the dance? And me and my homies left. Okay. We got in the 79 Mustang, we packed it out and we left. Okay. Tracy says those packaged foods will raise your pressure. I'm having them. Okay, yeah, I don't need nothing else. Add the blood.
I want to make a quick announcement for everybody that they haven't been highlighting this, but it is Asian Pacific Islander Month. Be aware.
Well, happy that to y'all. Bakari says we need more than a cup of noodles. That's not food yet. Mess your gut up. Diane says Hurricane Sandy in New York taught me to use my fireplace outside grill to cook on. My mom is from a developing country, and we actually cooked food in the ground when the electricity went out. There you go. And that's what people used to do. So absolutely, you got to know how to do those things. At the very least, get you a hybrid car that has some, you can plug things up. Like we have one, my daughter's car is a hybrid, and we could plug things in and out of that, right? So that's why I said my next purchase, I have a 2019, it might as well be a 1913. 2013 Hyundai Sonata. It don't have those type of capabilities, but I said my next purchase will have those capabilities to be able to charge some things and all that.
Yes, and in your home, you guys, right now, what you should have is sleeping bags, and you should have a solar panel. You can get a 200-watt solar panel for like $100, a 100-watt one for like $50, and that way you can charge your lights and do all these solar type things in case it hits the fan. And you better have at least a 4 to 5 man tent.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. My favorite planet says you're not a billionaire. They don't care about you. Truth, yeah, they don't. That is a true the have and the haves not, right? And the have not. So yeah, absolutely. The LW, he says, yep, I got rid of my microwave too, Dimitri. Yeah, I haven't had one in years. Because when the microwave destroys your food, right? So yeah, I'm patient. I use the stove, the oven, and I even have an air fryer to kind of heat stuff up. Even with those, you got to be careful of the lining and things like that. But yes, mostly we use the stove and the oven. Yeah, chlorine tablets, purify your water. I think that's what it is. Don't quote me. I have cooked enough. CJ, I've cooked enough. King Shaw, how you doing? Says reparations and gate crime bills over everything. Okay, as Edgy says, blacks are not really in panic mode like them folks now because we been in panic mode. It's kind of like, what's new?
But we don't own anything. Well, what are we panicking about? They stole everything from us. What are we panicking about?
Yeah. CJ and Bakari says we need to get back to homesteading. Yeah, I see a lot of sisters actually doing that online. CJ says, shoot, you two should do a show with this on Walter. Walter's supposed to come tomorrow. He's supposed to come every other Wednesday. We'll see. Walter be out there in them streets, them money streets. But yeah, we could talk about it. Y'all know Walter is 5150, but he tell it like it is. So yeah, I'll see if he comes.
All you got to do, look. Okay, I'm gonna give you the game, Dimitri. You guys want to get Walter on the show? You just say there's some money there, and Walter will be there. Okay, trust me.
Oh, Walter. Ernest says, don't forget to get a generator from when the lights go out. Yeah. I don't have a generator. Admittedly, I don't own this house. So I don't want to hook one up to one I don't own. I started to get one. Actually, my sister was going to send me one last year. And I said, well, no, don't send it because I don't, want to hook it up to a house that's not mine. If I ever do buy a house, I would do it then. But, other than not having electricity, whatever the case is, my daughter and I were really resourceful, really, really resourceful. Moving here to Houston, we've been through freezes. We had to be very resourceful. We were out without lights, for periodically. That remind me of that sister. She was on the news. She said it was for periodically about a time. But yeah, so we learned to be resourceful. How to make it shake. You got to do what you got to do.
And then I'm gonna give you guys another bit of the game. If push comes to shove, this weekend or whatever weekend you got free, binge watch Naked and Afraid. If anything, watch Naked and Afraid. That will help. If you can't survive with clothes on and a house over your head and tents and solar, you got to be out there naked and afraid and see how they did it.
Okay. Dirty Laundry Media, how you doing? Says Century of the Self is a must-watch documentary if you want to understand how propaganda is used to manufacture consent. That's the key terms: consent and control of the masses. There you go. I love it. I love when people know about Century of the Self. It does my heart good. Absolutely. Herschel, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Jay says we have to get away from electric stove. Start by grilling everything, vegetables, fish, and everything. Yeah, I don't have an electric stove. I have a gas stove, cooking with gas. Raven, you says that big block of welfare cheese don't sound bad now, huh? Yeah, the constipation still is not desirable. Dwayne says, I gotta cook. I do cook. I cook. I'm not saying I don't cook, but she's young. Her feet are young. Her back is young. Let her cook. Oh, Gloda's done cooked enough. You know what I mean? Gloda Dean is sitting down. I'm like, what we eating? For real? Okay. Brother Reddy says Trump should send Jazzy, you know what? Jazzy's wig to Alcatraz because it's diabolical. Y'all know he's trying to open up Alcatraz, but people are like, man, we're not trying to open up Alcatraz. This is going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars to get Alcatraz up and running. So it's like, and it makes, I think like $90 million a year or something from tourism. So they're like, man, get on out here with all that. We're not opening up Alcatraz, okay? After the Birdman, we good because you can't escape from Alcatraz. That has been proven. Catherine says they have non-electrical washing machines. Yeah, and at the very least, you got these, right? To wash. My hands and my wrists, unfortunately, is not in the state to be washing no laundry for a whole host of reasons. But yeah, Sandra, how you doing? Says billionaires are the people who create jobs. Not sure what people talk about. They're the only millionaires of our black. The only millionaires of our black community does nothing but keep to themselves. Yeah. I won't say all of them do that, but a lot of them do. I think most millionaires and billionaires do that. They create jobs, but what kind of jobs are they creating? Are they creating most jobs where you can sustain yourself? Some of them, yeah. A lot of them, not so much. So, it just depends on what kind of jobs you're talking about. No, Ernest, I cook. Don't get me wrong, I cook. It's just like I said, I'm getting up there. LW says I have my grandmother's washboard, and I wish I had mine, but then again, I wish I didn't. Norma says, man, they could go make some French fries and chicken wings. Yeah, you could. You can make some potatoes or French fries at the very least, right? I don't know how much. I've been hearing a lot of things about chickens lately. I heard a lot of people who are raising chickens in their yards. They end up with salmonella and all that other stuff because they're not properly doing all that they're supposed to do. So they got
and
these
the bird flu stuff. Yep.
Yeah, they got these eggs and stuff. They getting out their backyard and they bringing salmonella in the house with them. So I don't know. My favorite plan says grow your food whenever you can, create community gardens. Yep. Brother Don says, I wish I can remember the title of the book where the father of psychology says that it was all a fraud and used tool of control. So you're talking about Edward L. Bernays. Is that what you're talking about? He was actually the nephew also of Sigmund Freud. And you guys know who Sigmund Freud was considered like one of the modern fathers of psychology. So together they fashioned where we are now with consumerism as the brother said, consent and control, and group think and all that other stuff. Edward L. Bernays. Let's see. As Edgy says, it's difficult cooking and having a manicure after having a manicure. Yeah, that's partially why I don't paint my nails anymore because I clean a lot and cook, and you just want to make sure. It's just a lot. Hey Samuel, how you doing? Long time no see. He says, in the words of James Brown, she talking loud and saying nothing. What's the plan? Oh, didn't hear one. Yep. Jasmine Crockett. That's who she is. It's an empty wagon, right?
Yeah, and we should say that in regards to all our politicians that keep trying this playbook of scare tactics, and just ask them plain and simple, what is your plan that's going to put us in a better situation than what's going on right now? And I almost can guarantee you they don't have a plan. It's more of the same old nonsense that we've been going through. And people say, well, we want the status quo. We want the status quo. Why the hell would you want the status quo of a system that keeps you at the bottom? So when they come back at you like that, they say, well, we want to get back to this and we want to get back to that. Nah, we're moving forward. We want something better for ourselves.
Hey, Hey, MC Fact, how you doing? It says, was just looking at the anti-guilt stream. Things were getting hot, so I came here to cool off. Well, make sure you go on back and check it out when you're done here. And I love and appreciate you for watching it. Yeah, we do have a stream that we did earlier. It wasn't a stream, it was a podcast that Donovan and I did. Fresh Air, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Let's see here. Sweet Daddy Kool-Aid, what's going on? She says, get a solar generator, no loud noises. Yeah, that too. Those things are pricey, but worth the buy. Sherry, how you doing? Says, I've seen where Trump supposedly has signed a bill saying that we are FBA. Have you seen this? No, I haven't seen that. It says, because I like it if it's true, because I don't want to be called African American anymore or people of color. I have not seen that. Yes, I have. I do know who Sabby Sab is. She's a pretty cool lady. I do know who she is. She actually shouted us out once about a year or so ago. So yeah, she's on the move for sure. Catherine says, no actual electric washing machines. They're Asian inventions. Okay. Ben Amin, how you doing? Says, nah, sis, listen to our brother in the left of you. He said the border patrol is hiring. Go apply, my people. I ain't going. Y'all can go. I ain't going. Nah, I ain't got lost nothing on the border. Y'all can have at it. Wanda, I should say Miss Wanda, how are you doing today? It says, get blackout curtains. You would need light discipline, solar cameras, and do reinforce your windows and doors. That is actually good advice. Blackout curtains is good. I'm one of those people. I like a lot of light, but I understand the need for blackout curtains.
Hey, that's my mom.
I was like,
oh my God.
That's why I said, Miss
Mom, get off the feed. Go walk Muttley. Go do something. That's my mom that's on the feed.
You leave Mama alone. Mama,
wait. I'm gonna be on my best behavior right now. Hold on.
That means you ain't gonna be able to say nothing then. Okay. Yes, that is Donovan's beautiful mother. Victoria, how you doing? Says, all I know, Simpson got Trump in the casket. Simpson. Oh. You talking about the Simpsons with the episode with y'all? Y'all talk about the Simpsons is always right. It remains to be seen. I don't know.
Well, think about it. Remember, and I think it was in the first or second season when Mr. Burns ran for governor. Here's an oligarch, the rise of the oligarch, and he almost won. So,
y'all wrong for that. Sammy says the Democrats started off speaking on Black community, ended with minorities. We know the rest of the story. Absolutely. Mel, how you doing? Says, I heard a recording of Planned Parenthood that took a donation from someone who said they wanted it specifically for Black women because they wanted less Black babies. The woman from Planned Parenthood laughed. Oh yeah, that was definitely the plan to use it on Black people, but we still here. We's here. Brenda,
wait. I want to say something since my mom is on. Mom, there's a lady in the chat named Sunlight. She is always bullying me, so I want you to go ahead and let her know nobody gonna be messing with your baby.
He lying. Brenda says, how you doing? Says, I heard the mainstream media for women have yes, Brother Smokey. Damn. They're trying to say Smokey Robinson was doing something to 4 of his maids or something. I'm like, you know what? Knock it off. Because if he really, and I'm not saying he might have, I don't want to really go that far. One said it was from 2006, Smokey did something to her. One said it was 2016, he did something to her. Smokey Robinson's 85 years old. Like they said, he hopped on him. You know what I mean? To clean it up. Smokey would have been 76 years old during the last allegation. But my thing is, y'all ain't called the police. 4 of y'all got together, and they asked for $50 million, mind you, from Smokey Robinson, who is closer to 100 than he is, 80. So I'm like, okay, well, what are we doing here? But I'm glad to see a lot of people are like, go away. We're not listening. Next. Smokey. So I don't know. And Smokey is my daddy's favorite singer. Okay. So we don't want to raise his blood pressure about this. So anyway, the unsubscribed queen, how you doing? Says, are you and Donovan siblings as well? No, we're not. We're like siblings. More like Thelma and JJ. You know what I mean? All right, you know what? We're gonna get out of here because we've been on here far too long.
Well, that, and I have to go and speak at city council. Again, you guys, the revolution starts at the grassroots. It is city council, and I'm not judging anybody who doesn't have time to do it, whatever, but here's my thing. You can no longer use the excuse of, well, I'm in traffic, I'm commuting, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You have a smartphone in your hand. You have the email of the city clerk. You can send an email. It is public record of what's going on. Most cities that I know of, they post the agenda of what they're going to be talking about at the city council meeting. You can watch it on public access TV. You can watch them on YouTube, the meetings on YouTube. But my point is this, to sit there in ignorance, like you don't know what is going on in your city, that excuse has gone. It is gone. There's no reason why you don't know why your $600,000 home is now worth $200,000 because they just built a warehouse right across the street from where you're at. So again, you know, I hear people, but the thing is, the rise of a Jasmine Crockett, she started from somewhere. Where did she start? As a lawyer. Then she went to, I think she became a representative in the state of Texas. And then they rise and they rise and they rise by the machine of the Democratic and the Republican parties. Regardless of how you feel about it, what is happening in America today, it's our fault because we're too busy doing this and being distracted. And like I said, there's a lot of reasons all of this stuff is on, but at the end of the day, this is a government for the people, by the people, and all that other great stuff they talk about. And because we weren't paying attention, they have legitimized criminality in the White House that we pay for, criminality in the Congress that we pay for. It is our fault, and we have to reorganize and, you know, just get back to basics. And you get back to basics where you start, where you're at, your city. If you can't tell me who your city manager is, if you can't tell me who your mayor is, if you can't tell me who your city engineer is, you might want to go and, you know, hit a couple of meetings, because the people that are making decisions in most local elections is less than 10% of the population because nobody's voting. Think about it.
Absolutely. And on that note, we're going to get on out of here. So, Sean, how you doing? Since the money from U.S. is how China got rich. The U.S. can't open shop in China, but China can open shop in the U.S. Make it make sense. Yeah, definitely agree with you on that. DJ Cool Chris, how you doing? He says, no, we cousins. Okay. Anyway, we're going to get out here. Love and appreciate every last one of y'all. Donovan's going to keep us posted as to how it goes, as they did. Summons him to bring yourself down here to City Hall and help us fight. But as I say too, and I tell Donovan, this is why to him, I'm like, tell them no. Because when you ran twice for city council, they stayed home, they sat on their hands, but yet now I'm telling you, I've been there when they're, hey Donovan, we have an emergency, can you help me? And he's like, you ain't, why you didn't go call the city council? Why you coming? Like, they literally show up at his door and say, oh, I have a problem. Oh, I need this. And, you know, he goes and helps them or whatever. But like I said, you better than me, homie. I'd have slammed the door in their face.
Well, you got to remember, you know, it's just like The Godfather. I'm the Duke of Edgemont, which is kind of similar. It's a black thing. I'm the Duke of Edgemont. So there might come a time where I might have to ask you for a favor. Hopefully that time will never come. But I give you credit for coming and knowing that my dog needs help and walking on my dog's wash day. So yes, I will grant your request.
And good luck. Okay, good luck. They gotta be like, I ain't got it, right? But anyway, Donovan's, you know, a true servant of the people, so we love him for that. And the people in his area and Moreno Valley, you know, as a whole, is better off for him. So anyway, we'll see y'all maybe tomorrow, God willing, if Walter comes. We'll see. But in the meantime, you guys have a great rest of your day. Hey, Michelle, how you doing? See y'all later.
Mom, stay off this feed. Stay off this feed, Mom.
You don't tell Mama what to do. Peace.